Welcome to the Straight Red Card. Yeah, we're back. I know it's been a long time. We both apologize, but kind of not, because we've been really busy, obviously, doing other things. You probably may have noted, we now have a professional soccer team here in Indianapolis. So we've been a little busy, but we'll get to that later. I think the first thing we're going to take on here, Brett, is the January training camp.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, the friendly against our northern nemesis, Canada.
Well, and to add to that, we do have a closed friendly with Club Tijuana before Canada.
Closed meaning we're not going to get to see any of it.
We're not going to get to see it, so I think certain players that won't see the field regardless will get a chance here. But
like Connor Lade?
Yep, using him as an example, yeah.
Well, I mean...
Juan Agudelo, maybe?
Oh, well. Both, ironically, former and current New York Red Bulls players. Mm-hmm. Listen, I like Connor Lade, but I don't think he's quite ready yet, and I think...
I'd even throw Edson Buttle in that bucket, to tell you the truth.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think he's going to stand a chance to see the lineup.
So Connor Lade, let's see, he is 23 years old or so. He's not going to grow anymore, is he?
No, I feel he's at the height he's at.
I think he's like 5'5". He's a small guy. I think he'll be the smallest guy on this roster.
Well, didn't he play outside back for New York?
Oh, he does.
He played outside back, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's okay. I mean, you can play left back or right back and be 5'5". It's fine. But certain circumstances when the left back has to pull into the box when a ball is crossed. Always nice to have a taller left back if he has to fill in space at the the back post.
Hey, let's not height discriminate here. Bocanegra's been a serviceable center back at his height.
He's 6 foot.
He's 6 foot, really?
Yeah, of course. Bocanegra's 6 foot.
I have to double check that because I don't buy that for a second. Well, I guess compared to Gooch and the various Demerit and the various other center backs, he looks like a shrimp. Maybe that's the case.
I think maybe
it's all relative in this situation. I guess
you're just confused. You're confusing him with Cherundolo, I think. Now Cherundolo's like 5'10", so, but
that's 2 inches.
Yeah, Bocanegra's got him by a couple inches at least.
I'm just saying in comparison to the other center backs we normally have.
Yeah.
I always deem Boca as a short center back. So maybe I'm wrong. I probably am.
So I was at this swim meet, my stepson's swim meet, and ran into a couple guys, and of course I was talking to my wife about Indianapolis soccer, and these two guys overheard it, and they started talking to me about that, and then we got to the U.S. soccer team, and we started talking about the January training camp and the players in it, and they seemed shocked when I told them, almost none of those players, maybe a few of them, maybe a couple will actually ever make the actual U.S. team that goes. If we make the World Cup, God forbid we don't, but when we do, very few of these guys are going to make the team in this January list. And they were shocked to hear that. I said, well, yeah, I mean, all our players play overseas, and this is mostly a domestic lineup. And the truth is, not many of these guys are going to make the team, Brett. And this is really just Klinsmann maybe testing some of these guys to see, who's gonna ride Pine during the World Cup. And it's kind of sad because a guy like Brad Davis, who I still think is one of the best players in MLS, probably isn't going to make the team because I'm not sure where he fits in. But I'm glad that he's on this roster, and I think he'll get the start.
Well, and I certainly think that the January camp is a shot for certain players to get a shot in the future. I think that's the best way to describe it.
But is it really a shot for a guy like Brad Davis, or is it more of a shot?
No.
It's more of a shot for a guy like Joshua Gott, I think.
Yes. Well, yes. I mean, even looking back at when Jeff Cameron got his shot at Camp Cupcake, he got his shot. He got brought into a couple other qualifiers, and now he's playing with Stoke City.
That's right.
As far as Davis is concerned, this is a call up, a call up that's been waiting for a while. I think the last time he was called up like 2 years prior to this.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been a very serviceable left mid for Houston Dynamo. He's been a very serviceable left mid regardless. I think he deserves a call regardless.
Yep.
But this might be just a call up saying, hey, you know what, we need some veteran experience in this not this qualifier, but this Camp Cupcakes schedule, you know.
Yep.
But I think as far as testing out some young defensive players, you know, or relatively young, let's put it that way, as far as the position is concerned, we do need some depth back there as a whole, and this is the best way to try out some local talent. But in the end, most of the players that are being called up to these camps, this is as high as they're going to get.
Right,
and it's unfortunate, but it's also fortunate, to tell you the truth, that we have as much depth abroad, as you mentioned, in Europe or wherever, to really fill in the roster where these players, you know, this is as high as they go.
Yeah, my point about Brad Davis is, what's sad is he's 32. He was kind of a late bloomer. He's always been a decent player, but, I mean, now he's, you know, regarded as one of the top players in the MLS. He's 32. Had he, when in his mid-20s, made that trip overseas, who knows where he would be right now. But it just never happened for him. Guys like Benny Fieldhaber, you know, to me, this is like kind of a last hurrah. I know he's got 31 caps, but I just don't see anything happening for him from here on out. Do I think he'll play? Maybe. I don't know. But anyhow, let's just go through our projected starting lineups. And I guess you can start too, because you had that controversial 4-4-2, which, you know, there's no way in hell that's happening. But go ahead.
I went for a lineup to where I thought, of players I would like to see play, and I know we very rarely have seen the 4-4-2 under Klinsmann, and it's very likely we'll not see it quite again. But then again, one can argue that with Dempsey playing as a quote-unquote center attacking mid for the 4-5-1, that it basically resembles a 4-4-2.
Kind of.
You know, you can make that argument, because I've never really seen Dempsey push back much further back behind the halfway line.
Kind of like a 4-4-1-1 almost.
That's probably the best way to describe it, in all honesty. But I went for a flat out 4-4-2. Whether or not Klinsmann does this, I really don't care, because I've tried to predict Klinsmann's lineups and I've failed every single time.
I haven't.
So yeah, well, that's why I'm going to let you project what will actually happen. I'm going to project what I want to see happen.
Okay, that's fair.
And I went with quite a few, I guess you could say, vet players to an extent, where if you actually went with the 4-4-2, this is what I would see happening. But at goalkeeper, do you want to break it down position by position, or do you want me to say my 4-4-2 and then you say your position?
Why don't you go ahead and start with a goalkeeper, and if I just disagree with you, I'll chime in. How's that?
All right, well, as far as the starting goalkeeper, I said Tally Hall.
Yeah. I don't know. That to me, that's just a flip of the coin. All three of those guys.
It really is. Yeah. In all honesty, and I had mentioned that at halftime I'd like to see Sean Johnson get a call, but that's the Chicago Fire enemy coming out.
Yeah.
You know, it could very well be Bill Hamid coming in. You know.
Yep. You just don't know.
It really is a flip of the coin at this point. I agree with you on that.
Yeah. You just don't know who's performing. You know, in the training camp, who's performing at the top level right now, and whoever that is going to get the start. So. But let's try the center backs. I think that one's the easiest, right?
Yeah, I think we both agree that it's going to be Gonzo and Beasler.
Beasler. I only have one complaint about Beasler, and that his name is pronounced Beasler, when it's so obviously Bessler.
Bessler? And it's, I don't know if you heard me, but I almost started to say Bessler before I corrected myself, because we've already been through this.
Have we discussed this already? Because
No. We have said it before, and I think we've had fans of the show correct us.
Oh, yeah, that's what happened. Well, yeah, that's true. Somebody probably did correct me. I'm sorry, but my mother is German, and when she saw his name, she pronounced it the proper German way as well. So, Beasler, that's fine. He should add an A after that E, and then I'll call him Beasler. Until then, I'm going with Bessler. He'll probably punch me in the face when he sees me, but we'll live with that. But I agree with you. Gonzo and Bessler in the middle, in the back.
Who'd you have on the outside backs?
I had Beitashour, and I just was not sure about who else, because you could go with Morrow, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that seems like a pretty safe bet, but I think, the only guy I'm pretty darn sure is going to start is Beitashour. Now, whoever gets the other spot. I don't think it'll be laid, but you just don't know.
Yeah.
Justin Morrow seems like a pretty good bet to me. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree.
And then, of course, the midfield word, it gets all screwed up between the two of us because you have kind of you have the 4 across.
Yeah, I went for the 4 across, a diamond midfield for this case. With Davis at left mid, which I think we pretty much agree, even though I think you went for the 4-3-3, where I think still Davis will play on the left side. I had Davis with Feilhaber as more of an attacking mid, Beckerman behind him, and then Zusi outright. Regardless of the formation, I don't see Zusi playing a position that he won't play with an actual true United States starting 11.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, Zusi will not crack the center midfield position. He's always going to be utilized as a right mid. Yeah. Mind you, right mid, as far as the United States are concerned, is always pinches in anyways. So it's not a true right mid that he's going to be playing regardless, but I think he's going to be on the right mid in this situation.
Well, here's how I had it. I had Beckerman as your traditional holding guy in front of the back 4.
Yeah.
And then I had Davis and Diskerud in front of him, sort of playing, in that triangle that Klinsmann loves to play, with Diskerud given the green, the thumbs up to move up and almost play behind Wando up top. I think Wando's going to get the start, but we'll discuss that. But I think Beckerman's going to be holding in front of that back 4 with Davis and Diskerud in that kind of sort of 3 in the middle, with Diskerud giving that thumbs up to move forward, and then Zusi playing the right wing, Gott playing the left wing with Wando up top. It almost looks like a 4-3-3, but it could also very much look like a 4-5-1. But that's always the case with Klinsmann's lineups. Yeah.
And in that lineup that you had mentioned, it very well could just resemble almost a 4-2-2-2. Very much a Bob Bradley formation with Diskerud and I forgot. Did you say Beckerman? You said Beckerman, yeah. With Diskerud and Beckerman playing more of a deeper lying center midfield position with.
I think if anybody plays deeper back with Beckerman, it would be Davis. I think he's gonna tell Diskerud to play more of a sort of attacking midfielder, sort of almost a CAM role. I think that's probably more likely, but I don't see it as a 4-2-2-2 because Beckerman is going to play right in front of that 4, he always does.
I agree with you on that, but I'm just saying that it's possible that it could end up going that route with Davis and Zusi playing more of a pinched-in outside wingers. But I don't see that. In all honesty, I don't see that being the case. I see us playing more of a true attacking midfielder, whoever plays that, whether it's Diskerud or whoever.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as the strikers are concerned, with my 4-2-2 formation, I would like to see Bruin brought in as a target striker, with Johnson playing off top of him.
That wouldn't have anything to do with Bruin being a former sort of Indiana guy.
I've been making a case for him since his rookie year. I would have liked to have seen him brought up earlier than this, but I think he's made a name for himself. I think he's made a case for himself that he can bring a lot to the team.
Yeah. All right.
Not necessarily a starting like a World Cup qualifying roster, but I think as far as Camp Cupcake is concerned, I think he deserves a shot.
Well, I'll tell you what. In Jurgen Klinsmann's world of strikers, that door is just totally still wide open. I just don't see anybody outside of Dempsey who plays kind of that reserve striker role who's definitely earned his position. That all said, that nobody's really nailed down those spots as a striker. But that again all said, really this game, it's just for the most part, jollies and finding 1 or 2 guys maybe 3 that will, get a shot